Hello everyone, welcome back to the Alphabet Platinum series. It has been a while since the last video, however, I have a good reason for that. That was because during the end of the summer there, I decided to go ahead and have my own little beach episode right from the comfort of my home. Now during this beach episode time, I really didn't have a chance to play any of these games, let alone record anything. It was pretty rough, but we are right back at it again. So let's just jump straight in with the first one, which if you recall where we left off, we are on N. Now this game was originally supposed to be my Vita game. I had planned to play Night Trap, I had picked it up, I had started it up, got a little bit into the game, started to learn things, took a closer look at the trophy list, and discovered that one of the trophies is glitched and the Platinum is unachievable in its current state. So after an emergency run to a game store, I searched around for anything with the letter N that was moderately achievable, because at this point I was a little behind, and I picked up NCIS on PS3. Yeah, of course it's a Ubisoft game. This is quite possibly one of the worst games I've ever played, and definitely the worst game on this challenge so far. I honestly, while writing this script, struggle on where to start for what makes it so bad. For one, there's no gameplay. There are a lot of people that have made jokes and poked fun at like the Telltale games, for example, for not having a lot of gameplay. This makes those look like fucking Elden Ring. The gameplay of NCIS basically comes down to the left and right stick. Right stick is honestly optional. You barely look around in the pathetic excuse for a 3D environment. And mashing X when it tells you every once in a while. But really, that's it. There is a sort of point and click to it with the occasional cursor stuff that you get over top. But even that wasn't done properly. Like, I would click on stuff and it wouldn't register. And that's like the one thing the game's supposed to do. Now, I'm not personally a fan of this show, so I got no fulfillment out of seeing my favorite TV show characters in the game and getting to play them. They all look terrible. I don't know what they look like in real life, other than what I can see on the cover, but they look absolutely atrocious in this game. It is disgusting. It is muddy. It is all the worst parts of PS3 era, but it's not even like that early of PS3 where it's excusable. Story-wise, it's basically just, I think, if I remember correctly, 3 separate crime scene investigations, as it implies, and you just go through, you point and click, you find all the evidence, you can't move on until you find all the evidence, and it babies you through the whole thing. Trophy-wise, it's even more boring. This game has nothing missable trophy-wise. If you play it, start to finish, at the end you get the plat. That's it. No collectibles, no nothing challenging, just play it. Just get through it, which honestly is a challenge in and of itself because of how ungodly bad it is. But that is, like, it baffles me that this even got a plat during the PS3 era, because if I recall correctly, there was a limitation to what games could get platinum trophies as an option, at least really early on when Sony first released trophies. So how, in God's name, this game deserved a platinum, especially one that is literally just play it, is beyond me. Look, I'm running out of things to say about this game. I don't want to spend any more time on it. In terms of platinum difficulty rating, I'd give it a 3 out of 10, purely for how unplayable it is. It's just so unappealing to get through. It was only like a 3 or 4 hour plat, and yet it took me almost a week because I just didn't want to play it. I wanted to do literally anything else. And, of course, following that, platinum enjoyment rating, no surprises here, it's a 1 out of 10. If I made this chart go into negatives or 0 as an option, it would be there. I am keeping it between 1 and 10, but just know that this is probably going to be the worst game I'll ever play on this channel, and look at that, I got it out of the way so early. There you have it. I hope I never play this game ever again. I am almost tempted to throw out the disc. I hate it that much, but I'll keep it in the collection just so every once in a while I can look at it and go, yeah, I'm doing alright. I'm not playing NCIS right now. Hey, editor's note here. I lost all my footage for this game. I had to play it again just to record this. Moving on swiftly, we have The Order 1886. Going into this game, I knew very little. I knew that it was early PS4. People thought it looked visually stunning, and that people were disappointed. So now that I've played it, how does that all sound? It pretty much checks out exactly. Story-wise, this game has a really interesting concept, taking place in 1886 London with werewolves and vampire creatures, but in terms of actual story execution, they go for the most simple route. You are the generic white guy protagonist, then a lady comes along and changes your perspective, challenges your worldview, and by the end, you've flipped sides, and all your former best friends are out to get you. I won't spoil too much when it comes to specific details. I mean, I give you the overarching view of sort of what the story's like, but there are a few small twists and turns that I don't want to get too far into, because I do recommend, despite all the, sort of negative things I've said so far, that you do play it. If you've never played it, it's kind of a PS4 classic at this point. Give it a try. It is a shame the sequel bait never went anywhere. Trophy-wise, it's pretty simple. You just have to beat the game, do some collectibles, and a bunch of combat-related trophies. Now, the list is weird because there aren't story beat-specific trophies other than a few near the end. So, in terms of what you actually do while playing it, I played probably the first 4-ish hours without a single trophy, and then they just piled on at the end. In terms of Platinum difficulty rating, I'd give it a 2 out of 10. I think it was just a sub 10-hour game, just about. And Platinum enjoyment rating, I'd give it a good 6 to 7. It was pretty alright. Next up, we have A Plague Tale: Innocence. This game is brilliant. Now, I'm a really big fan of cinematic games, over-the-shoulder, third-person kind of view, like most of the PS4 exclusives. And this game fills that Ubisoft enjoyment bingo just fully. You've got the third-person cinematic view. You've got a female protagonist, a historic setting, cool, interesting puzzles, fun fights that aren't just endlessly frustrating, good, natural gameplay progression, just mwah. Story-wise, I don't want to spoil anything at all. If you know nothing about this game, you haven't played it, go play it, please. You will love it, and it's going to be best experienced if you know nothing going in. All I gotta say about the story is that the rats were used amazing. It was really cool. Amicia and Melly is the best ship, and the final boss is one of the coolest fights I've done in one of these types of games. Just wow! Like if you've played it, you'll know what I'm saying. If you haven't yet, you gotta do it. It's amazing. In case I haven't made it obvious enough already, this game is a strong recommend for me. It was a super fun plat with your standard beat the game, get collectibles, that type of trophies. There were a few trophies that were related to doing encounters a specific way as well, which, if you missed them, there's chapter select. It's super easy to go back and get. That being said, there are 2 trophies that I did find frustrating, and that was getting the max upgrades on the sling and the max upgrades on the pouch. From what I saw, it is not possible to get in a single playthrough. And if you go back to clean up some of the alchemist carts and you're getting resources from them, it doesn't stack your upgrades when you're going back through chapter select. If you're doing stuff through chapter select and then getting upgrades on the pouches, none of that matters, which is super annoying unless you're hitting the very final upgrade, which again, you pretty much cannot do. If you want to do it fully legit, the way I recommend would be to max out the upgrades on one of them very specifically, then go back through chapter select and then max out the upgrades on the other and focus on just that other pouch type. Otherwise, you can do a full second playthrough. Now, I did mention in there, if you want to do it legitimately, if you want to do it a little more efficiently and take advantage of some of the features that have been left in the game, there is a little glitch in which you can hold specific buttons on the controller while crafting the throwable items, and then quickly switch it to the upgrades for the pouch, and it will allow you to get the trophies without having to replay the whole game just to get a few resources. I'm gonna be honest, that's what I did. It was my very last trophy, and I was like, yeah, I just want to get it done. So I did that little glitch. I'm not going to show exactly how to do it, but you can find really good videos that go into depth, only a few seconds long, so you know how to get it done. One other trophy that was slightly annoying is the Captain's Sidekick trophy. The requirements are fairly unclear, and it just simply says stay with the captain. I'd retry it after watching a little tutorial just to pull it off, just because it is a little finicky. But once you know what you're doing, the little tricks around, you can get it fairly easily. You just have to go in a rather specific route in order to stay close enough to him that the game recognizes it as staying with the captain. Overall, again, a firm recommend. I loved this game. I'd give it a platinum difficulty rating of a 3 out of 10, especially with the little resource grind glitch, so you don't actually have to do that. And a platinum enjoyment rating, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I had a blast with this game. It wasn't the best one I've played on the challenge so far, but definitely the best one of this video. And finally, we come down to Q. Now, predictably, Q was the hardest one to find a game to play for. Now, lucky for me, by the time I finally got to Q after my beach episode, the remaster of Quake 2 had just released. The original plan was The Quarry. And yeah, this was definitely the right choice to switch it up, to get this video out in some semblance of a decent amount of time without me begging for the sweet release of death. Quake is a classic PS1 era game, and this remaster includes the expansions as well as Quake 64. Story-wise, I'm gonna be honest, I played it and even I don't know, man. There's monsters, you shoot them, you make some weird noises when injured. But past that, trophies, they were very, very simple. You just gotta play it. And even then, not all of it. You have to play 9 out of 10 of the original Quake 2 missions because for some reason, the 9th out of 10 doesn't have a trophy associated with it, so you can just skip it. And the final missions for each of the expansions and the final mission of Quake 64. Now you might say, well, Ubisoft, how am I supposed to just skip these missions? Well, that's the thing. They give you chapter select immediately. You can select levels straight away and jump into whatever you want. I didn't know this. I started by playing all of Quake 2. I was on, I think, number 8 or number 9 when I found out I didn't have to play 9, so I just skipped ahead and went on to finish 10 and finish the final mission of each of the expansions in Quake 64. The games are all fairly simple to get through. I highly recommend taking advantage of the compass constantly. I played the first 3, maybe 4 missions, forgetting that the compass was a thing they showed me in the tutorial mere minutes ago, and I just kept getting lost. The compass literally just directs you to the nearest objective. Just use it constantly. Don't stop pinging it. Now keep in mind, this game is a port and a slight remaster, but not a remake. So there are no quick save points. There's no autosave. Don't be like me. I played the first 4 missions, restarting every time I died, before realizing there's an entire keybind to quick save. Now, in regards to the difficulty of the final missions of each expansion and Quake 64, the way it treats the level select is it gives you every weapon you could have theoretically gotten up until that point. Now, you don't get any special unlocks like quad damage, but you do get, like I said, every gun. So if you want to use a specific weapon or a certain recommendation for that boss, it's great. The other thing about the bosses, this is PS1 era, pathfinding and AI, if you can really call it that. So they're super dumb. You just poke out of alternating sides of a piece of cover, it'll just never hit you. Overall, I'd give Quake 2 a 3 out of 10 for difficulty and a 7 out of 10 for enjoyment. It was a fairly decent time, and it's fun to play a classic game now and then. Now that brings us to the end of this video. We actually only have 2 more left in the series. I'm gonna do another 4 in the next episode, ending at U, and then finish off with 5 plats. I'm hoping to not have nearly as big a gap between the next one and this one, but we will see. Hopefully no winter beach days. Yeah!